Okay, I've got top of the hour, everybody. Good morning and welcome to a special episode of our 20 for 2020 webinars. Today we have a very timely topic concerning NFPA 1600, the standard on continuity, emergency and crisis management. And then we're going to talk a lot about COVID-19 documentation as it pertains to 1600, and then how you can be very effective in documenting this challenging time within emergency reporting. Before we get started, though, I'd like to introduce to you our CEO, David Nokes. He'd like to share a few words with everybody today because this is such a critical topic, and we're providing a very important resource to you. And with the seeming chaos going on and the time you're spending responding and taking care of both your crews and your communities, he just wanted to share a little bit about what's going on here at Emergency Reporting and to pass on some words to you. So David, thank you very much for taking time to be part of this presentation today.
Hey, Tom, thank you. And thank you for having me. It's, I know you do these constantly throughout the year, and this one's really timely. And I just felt it was important for our customers and people that are exploring emergency reporting just to hear emergency reporting stance. So as Tom said, my name is David Nokes. I'm the CEO of Emergency Reporting. And first off, whether you're a longtime customer or you're here just checking us out for the first time, I know we have some people from Canada on the line. And there's people that are just interested in what emergency reporting is and what we do. I wanted to personally just thank you for taking the time to sit with us today. I wanted to talk a little bit about emergency reporting and our company posture towards this outbreak and this scenario that we're all in this together and walking through how to handle this pandemic. I don't know if most people know, but emergency reporting is based in Washington State, where the first sort of outbreak of COVID-19 happened. And we were really impacted early on by a couple notable events. One was there was a fire department that responded to a nursing home here in Kirkland, Washington, where sort of the outbreak happened. And it was promoted in the news pretty quickly that 31 of the firefighters were in quarantine, and several of them actually contracted COVID-19. And that was a real important catalyst for me and for the company. At that point, we realized, we serve 7,000 fire departments. We have 500,000 active firefighters as users inside emergency reporting. And the most important thing we could do to address this was, first off, to protect our family, right? To protect our staff and their families. We have over 100 employees. And so we immediately went to a strongly recommend of having our staff work at home. And we've been 98% working from home with full business continuity since early March. And that was the number one thing we did early on to try to make sure we continue to deliver, great software to those of you that are on the front lines. It's important to note we are fully operational. Our support team is all working from their home. They have chat services. They have the ability to take phone calls and also call out. And our entire tech team, although they're not sitting in a room coding together, they're coding using Teams and virtual resources. And we're still pushing out great product that ultimately led to us putting on this special episode. Finally, I just wanted you to know that our commitment to our technology and to our team is really rooted in making sure you have great technology to handle things like a global pandemic. We've allocated resources inside the organization. We've reassigned certain team members so they can actually accelerate and continue to deliver. We're really proud of some of the stuff you're going to see today. One in particular, the USFA NFPA special study that came out a couple of Thursdays ago. We actually were able to code that change in the system, release it live to production in less than 24 hours from being notified. So just know emergency reporting is strongly committed to making sure we stay on top and giving you the tools to manage the situation on the front lines. Last thing I want to say that managing through something like this, for those of you that are fire chiefs or leaders, there is no playbook. They don't teach you how to handle global pandemics in any class anywhere, but just rest assured that emergency reporting has a plan. And our plan is pretty simple. Protect our staff, protect their families so they can continue to deliver great technology to you. So thank you again, Tom and ER team for allowing me to speak. And I look forward to, helping out throughout the webinar. So thanks. And Tom, I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, David, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to share those words with all of us and with all of the participants today. And so, guys, we're going to jump right in. And some of the things David mentioned is very apropos because NFPA 1600 is all about continuity of business operations, not just for fire departments, but businesses in your community, emergency, and of course, crisis management. So we're going to jump right in. And then the first thing we're going to do is, of course, welcome everybody once again. And we're going to go over our objective. And those of you that join me weekly, I like to keep it short, sweet, to the point, focused on a standard, something relevant outside of just documentation and data management. And so that today's topic is going to tie into NFPA 1600. And I'm going to run a couple poll questions here, and that'll help determine how much time we spend on those next two topics, a background about emergency reporting and system features for those of you that may be interested in joining the emergency family. And then we're going to jump right into the topic and rock and roll through everything. So first things first, I'm going to run a couple poll questions. First off, are you interested in joining the ER family, or are you a current ER customer? So if you are multitasking, take a look up. Let's get everybody voting. Okay, fast, outstanding. Okay, a few more seconds. We'll keep the polls open. All right, everybody, we're going to close it in 3, 2, 1. Last chance to vote. Okay. So here we've got a few of you that are interested in joining the ER family. So welcome. I'm going to give you a quick overview of who we are and what we offer. And then to those of you, the 97% that are ER customers, thank you. You'll find today a very informative and very helpful, especially as your departments are dealing with our pandemic that we're tackling. Okay, a couple more questions. So what type of agency do you work for? Are you a career department, volunteer, combo, or federal or Department of Defense? Okay, you guys are quick today. All right, we're going to close it in 3, 2, 1. Last chance to vote. Oh, we got a nice mix today. It's almost split evenly, career and combo. It's good to see a federal DoD customers with us today. And then, of course, our volunteer, we've got quite a few there too as well. Excellent. All right, 2 more, then we'll get in here. So here's one. Does your department use NFPA 1600 for crisis management and continuity of operations? Yes, no, sort of, or what in the world is NFPA 1600? And I'll tell you, as I was learning about this standard, one of the key things we're going to talk about today is adding value to your organization. So if you ever get asked, and I know I did in my department, a business, small business comes in and says, okay, how can you guys help me with, crisis management if something significant happens? And usually it's not pandemics we're talking about. It's, either in my neck of the woods would be, wildland fires. You've got earthquakes and natural disasters. And so this particular standard is not just for fire agencies, but it's also a way you can add value and help businesses and organizations in the community prepare for crises. All right, thanks everybody. Here's the results. Okay, so we've got a good mix here. So those are so you're familiar, at least a quarter of you or probably half of you are familiar with 1600. Some of you aren't using it, and then some of you will today you'll learn and take away a little bit about more of what it is. All right, last question coming up. And are you currently participating in the United States Fire Administration National Fire Data Center COVID-19 special study that is part of NFPA's reporting? And if you are an ER customer, we're going to show you where that is in the system today if you haven't already discovered it. Now, we have some impressive statistics coming out of our development team that despite this not currently being a required field, though we are working on allowing agencies to make that a required field, we've had a tremendous, probably 80+% participation rate on a non-required field. And coming from the fire service, I can attest that that is fantastic, because as firefighters, if something isn't required, you know what we do? We click next and go to the next page. So we've been very impressed with that. All right, excellent. Share results. Yeah, fantastic. That would be a testament to all of you that are ER customers currently, and the fact that we make it easy for you to do that. If you're not and you are an ER customer, I'm going to show you how to do it. And then if you don't know what that study is, you're going to learn about that today as well. So excellent. All right, that's it on the poll questions. Thank you, everybody. It helps us understand who's participating and how to focus our limited time together today. All right, next up, this is me. I'm Tom, retired battalion chief and paramedic out of the Green Valley Fire District. Spent 22 years there. Graduated from Arizona State University with a Bachelor's of Applied Science in Fire Service Management. I've been using emergency reporting since 2004, 1 year after they became a company. My department started using that software very, very early on. Became a part-time regional trainer in 2011, moved on to being a full-time trainer, both for international and Department of Defense, and then was promoted to business development analyst in 2018. So that's a little bit about me. I can tell you that the way this company operates, it has been, and it's not, to say this is almost an understatement, but it has been a blessing to work for this company and to have opportunities, see people, and help serve the greater fire service over the past, going on what 9 years now. So time indeed flies. All right, so those of you that are, well, here, let's do our objective. Sorry, I hit too fast there. So today's objective: how can I improve my agency's overall crisis management, including comprehensive data management that truly adheres to NFPA 1600. And so the data management component is what we specialize in, and so we will focus on that, but I need to introduce you to some of the core concepts about NFPA 1600, so we'll do that as well. For those of you that said that you are interested in joining the emergency reporting family, here's a few bullet points to tell you a little bit about who we are. We follow the Agile software development process. In other words, we release every 2 weeks. And those of you that have noticed recently, sometimes even faster than that. We, I think, had close to about a 30-hour turnaround time in getting that COVID study into our system, so you can start reporting effectively and then being able to submit that to either your state, who then submits it to FEMA, or if you directly submit it to FEMA to NFIRS. We have a 99.9% uptime and reliability, which means when you connect, if you've got an internet connected device, which almost everything is now, and you've got a web browser, you're going to be able to log into emergency reporting, and you are always using the latest version because there's no software to install ever. Our support team is based in Bellingham, Washington. You will be able to speak to somebody that you'll understand and knows the system very well, and we'll get back to you very promptly. We pride ourselves on our customer service. Those of you in the fire service that have ever been privileged to either take a class or read any of Chief Alan Brunacini's books, especially his Essentials of Fire Department Customer Service, I can attest that that is something that emergency reporting abides by. Even though they hadn't read it when I joined them, they now know about it, and it only helps make us all better. Our system supports agency compliance, and you can see that that is part of our pillars on the right there for ISO, accreditation, and a myriad NFPA standards, and then local, state, and any federal regulations. We try to do our best to help you comply with all of that. We also serve the entire United States Marine Corps and the United States Army through enterprise contracts, and so they are worldwide in all of the fire and emergency services, and in both of those branches of service we are privileged to serve. This is where we're at right now. Over 7,000 departments, 36 million plus reports filed, and 750,000 personnel in our system. So we're growing every day. This is updated regularly. Andrea on our marketing team, she's our director of marketing. She is our guardian of our brand, and does an amazing job with what you see when you visit any of our websites. So please take a look at that, and you'll see this progress pretty much on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. This is what's in our system. And again, those of you that are ER customers know all about this, but for the benefit of those new to the emergency reporting environment, there's actually 19 modules if you count some of the sort of sub-modules, but 16 core modules. Vast partner interfaces through our API, which essentially, those of you that are not familiar with APIs, it's computers talking to computers and sending data back and forth, either pushing or pulling or both, so that data can be consistent across multiple software systems. Our CAD interface allows you to dramatically reduce the time spent entering reports, and we can pretty much interface with any CAD out there. And then, of course, putting all this data in, you've got to get it out and be able to have actionable intelligence. And so we have over 600 system reports. We have a response analytics for 1710 and 1720, and also for safety, we would call safety analytics for NFPA 1500. And as hopefully you have discovered, we have business intelligence tools now that are only going to be getting better in the months ahead. But we have 4 essentially dashboards or reports for 4 of the modules right now. So when you visit the analytics page, you will see what we call BI Basic. So please go and explore that for visualizing your data. It's extremely dynamic and actually kind of fun to work with. All right, so NFPA 1600, we're going to jump right in, and I'm going to give you just some basics about NFPA 1600 because we could spend, well, hours on it, and it would be a good presentation, but I want to hit some of the high points, and then also as it pertains to emergency reporting. Yeah, I just got an update. David had mentioned that as of Sunday evening, just to kind of go back a couple slides, 75,000 incidents have already entered data or have data entered for the COVID special study. So David, thanks for that update. I appreciate it. I knew it was a good number, and I'm pretty sure that winds up being close to 80% of our incidents, if I remember what our senior director of product mentioned. So, all right, so NFPA 1600, and this will all kind of come together as we go through this presentation, and then we'll get into the system as well as show you where all this takes place. But NFPA 1600 is an all-hazard disaster crisis, disaster in there twice, emergency management, business continuity, and continuity of operations program. All right, it's not just for fire agencies, as you see in 1.3, it applies also to public, private, and nonprofit and non-governmental entities. All right, so one of the things I want to mention here is this is a document that if you ever get questions, especially now, and certainly as we all hope will, and we're confident it will happen, this too shall pass with COVID, but there will be another emergency, there will be another crisis that we'll be dealing with, maybe not on a global scale, but certainly on a local scale. 7 bullet points. If you are creating a continuity and crisis management plan, one of the elements has to be about how your records management are going to be available to you and protected. And so part of your records management, whether it is, some of it is in paper, hopefully not too much, most of it is electronic and within the emergency reporting system, we can give you answers to all 7 of those, okay? And so backing up your data, validation of the integrity, our security and IT team, we have plans in place for all of that to ensure that your data is protected. So that is what I wanted to mention here, that chapter 4.8, you can put a check mark on that, knowing that your data is safe and secure with us. Okay, the next one is conducting a risk assessment. And so you as an entity shall identify hazards and monitor those hazards and the likelihood and severity of their occurrence over time. This is the hard part because managing this, assessing risk, and thankfully this document walks you through a lot of it, especially in the annex, the appendix part of this particular standard. But as you notice, down there under biological, there we are in what we're living through right now. And so many of these, we're lucky here. I'm in Arizona. I don't have to worry too much about snow and all of that, but certainly wildland fires and things like that, we've got the plan for. So that is a core part of the effort that would be needed to produce a crisis management plan for your entity. Okay, so here's some things directly from that document that pertain to what we're going to get into next with our COVID-19 response and documentation. So I like to talk about 7.2 here, that all appropriate stakeholders can warn, notify, and report an incident that has potential to cause an adverse impact on its people, property, operations, or the environment. So I look at this and I think about what the fire service casualty part of an NFRS report can do. That addresses that spot on perfectly. And the United States Fire Administration, not NFPA, but the United States Fire Administration, they have recommended the documentation using fire service casualties, because remember, the fire service casualties module is not for line of duty deaths only. It is for exposure certainly to carcinogens, but also in this case to pathogens like COVID-19. And so we'll get into that as well. And then documenting incident information, decisions, and actions. The entity shall establish and implement a system for tracking incident information received, decisions made, resources deployed, and actions taken during the incident. Again, that's your incident report for sure, but then the elements that support, in this case, a COVID-19 response, both with disposable PPE used, exposures, and also we offer in our EPCR the ability to document NEMSIS 3 added fields that are approved by states as well. So there's a lot of opportunity to do extremely good documentation. And if you're thinking right now, well, I'm gonna get all this information today, moving forward, we're gonna be able to do this. You can open up incidents in the past in our system and update that data. And I can even show you how to do that. But bottom line is you're able to comply and adhere nicely to a lot of these things in NFPA 1600 just by what you've been doing and then taking a few extra steps to enhance data management. I like chapter 10 here, those two things I've highlighted. Post-incident analyses. Our system is extremely conducive to helping you do a terrific post-incident analysis. And in this case, it's not just an incident, single incident per se, big fire, substantial response. This is kind of an ongoing, but we're all mobilized right now, and these operational periods, if you're filling out ICS 214, these are 24-hour rolling operational periods that you're tracking, and then looking back, as you know, post-incident analysis will help you see what you did right, opportunities for improvement, and so forth. And then, of course, follow-up by management for all of that. So they've got to have it to make good decisions now, and then good decisions down the road as well, so that when you have managing something in your community that may not be as expansive as what we're dealing with now, you'll be extremely well prepared for it. Okay,
Hey,
now we're
Tom,
going to get, yes, sir.
may I interrupt real quick? We're getting several people in, and this audio is going in and out on their end. I was just going to mention, I put it out to all, but if you lose audio or something and the video is still going, if you would go up to the top in the audio section of your GoToMeeting and click on phone call and dial in that way. You'll have information where you received the email or okaying you for registration. You can go in there and put in that phone number and you can come in. I don't think there's a problem on the phone side. So if you lose audio, please go there. We really don't want y'all to miss any of this. So
Are
sorry
you
about
hearing
that,
my
Tom.
audio? Is my audio cutting out for you too, for you, Mac, or no?
No, it did for a while. Now you're back, but I did have some others that were saying they lost it. It was coming in and out again. So
All right.
yeah,
I'm hoping it's not a
letting you know.
GoToMeeting issue. I'm hoping it's not a GoToMeeting issue and that they're just being taxed right now, their
I think
servers.
so.
But
Yeah.
okay,
So just
we'll
wanted to
keep an eye
mention
on that.
that.
Yeah, keep an eye on that for me, Mac. And if it persists, just let me know. And
Yes, sir.
yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go into the system. Now I'm going to actually go into an account, but I want you to have an opportunity to either one do, and this presentation will be available to everybody and posted later on today on YouTube. But if you want to grab screenshots, and there's going to be some information in here on system reports that you can pull. If you want to write down those numbers, you can do so quickly and then actually go into your account and start exploring right away. All right, so I'm going to talk about different things that we're doing right now to support collection of data, management of data pertaining to the COVID-19 outbreak. And so I'm going to talk about data going in, because that's one thing, and you want to make it as easy as possible for the troops to get the data in so you can trust it. And then there'll be a follow-up slide behind every one of these that shows you how you as leaders in the organization can extract that data, because if it goes in, you've got to be able to get something out that's actionable intelligence so you can see what's going on and make good decisions. And so this part that our team put together, the special studies can be found on Basic Info 2. So when you start an incident report on Basic Info 2, second page of an incident report, right underneath the questionnaire info, you will see the special studies that is directly an NFIRS field with NFIRS valid responses. And one other thing that you need to know as well is not only are you putting data in here, you're able to, when you send by the end of, well, say you were to send March's data to NFIRS, these fields are going to be included in that export so it can be part of your permanent record, and that the United States Fire Administration can start collecting that data. And I'll go to this site too, but there's a link here that explains all about that special study, and we'll visit that a little bit later. Data out. Okay, there's two ways to get data out right now. One is in the advanced search on the incidents module. So if you've never explored it, you'll be in the advanced search, you'll be in the incidents module, you'll click on the third tab. Down near the bottom is special studies. Now right now there's just one special study. You can select the one, and then based on those answers, you can pick one or more, so it's a multi-picker. And then the output in the incident table will be a grid, but then the nice thing is you can also see where those, say you want to say COVID-19 was confirmed, you can see on a map exactly where those incidents were. So is it a cluster in a certain area? Is it in a nursing home? You can see that visually very easily using the advanced search. The other one is in report number 1795. So write that number down, 1795, add it as a favorite in your reports module. And you can see the output here based on the time frame that you select. You will have the date, the incident number, location, zone, and the response to the special study. And then at the bottom of the report, there's a table that gives you a tabulation of the count for each of those responses. Gonna pause real quick, see if we got any questions. Okay, thanks, Sean. He's saying the audio, everybody, on the phone is stable. So that tells me that probably GoToMeeting is just, their servers are taxed right now and it's getting choppy on us. Okay, also data out. On the print page for an incident, if you answered that question for the special studies, it will appear on the printable view of that incident report. Okay, next up, what we'd mentioned earlier about fire service casualties. So if you select yes, and chances are for most calls you're going to be going on, this is probably going to be a yes, and then you're able to document this in the fire service casualty module. Once you click yes and then click next, save and go next, the fire service casualty module will appear, and I'll show you that here in a sec. And then there's also a link that explains what the fire administration is looking for in that response. Data out, two reports, report number 315 and report number 1630. You'll be able to extract this data. Again, I can't emphasize enough that wherever data is going in, and you've explained to the personnel that would be inputting this data, the reason why they're doing this, and then you're going to be able to trust what comes out of it in these various reports or system tools to collect this. Next up, custom questions. I want to thank Anaheim Fire for this one. This is theirs, and I'm grateful to them for sharing this, but this is data going in. There's another opportunity here, and some of you did this before the National United States Fire Administration's special study, and you can create as many custom questions as you might like, and this is a particularly good example here of 4 questions that they can then pull data out from these reports. All right, and 1703, 1692, 1664, 970, and 805. Would never expect you to remember the titles of all of these, but if you look at those numbers and explore them, and then if you do a search In the reports module for user-defined, we'll pull up all these reports right on one screen for you, and then you can pick the one you want to run. Okay, in the EPCR, and there's actually some more fields here. These are the three on the impressions for your patient documentation, but there's some others that I will show you here in a little bit. And so remember here, certain states are allowing the following ICD-10 codes. Other states are creating some of their own as well. But these three, if your state has approved them, can be added to your EPCR for those of you that are using our EPCR to report to the state as a NEMSIS compliant report. So you can see those three there. And then report 1747 will allow you to extract that data. And this is the primary impression for NEMSIS 3 patients. Okay, and the next and last one is the inventory module. So David, our CEO, has made the decision with the senior leaders of our company that this has been turned on for any customer that might not have it. Now, if you have the full fire package, you've had this, but we have some state solutions that they just have the NFIRS module. And so to help support better documentation of consumable PPEs or disposable PPE, the inventory module is now available, and we have the link to the fact sheet based on the ability for you to get reimbursed through the Stafford Act. Please look at that fact sheet from FEMA, and then we also have a knowledge base article. And if you look in your attachments, your files, handouts in the go-to webinar control panel, you will see one, for those of you that are new to emergency reporting, an overview of who we are and the products we offer, and then the other one is a document about the inventory module in case you haven't explored that one before. And so that's another opportunity to document everything, especially if your agency is eligible for reimbursement with the declarations of emergency being put out from states and at the federal level. And then the data out, you've got reports within the inventory module, 5 of them, and then you also have system reports that I put there on the right that you can pull data from to show your current status of inventory. Please keep in mind that the maintenance module is for hard goods. The inventory module is meant just for disposable and consumable products. Of course, PPE, your N95s and such, but also, station supplies, cleaning supplies, and things like that. Going to do a quick pause and see if we've got any questions. Joe,
Tom,
yes.
I do see. I'm sorry,
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, I see them. Please hurry with the task to make COVID-19 study an optional required field. This is from Joe. Yes, we are on it. And I see Max responded, so thanks, Mac. And Arthur's asking, if we say yes on the COVID-19 tab, so the special study, do we say yes on the casualty tab? So Arthur, I'm going to go to the FEMA document and I'm going to show you what they state, and then they leave it up to you, but I'm going to show you what they state, and then that way you as an agency can make an informed decision on how you want to proceed with that. Go ahead, Mac. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
That's exactly what I was fixing to say about that one, so just go ahead.
Awesome. Thanks, Mac.
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right, so let's go into the system and show this how it works. And we'll get that going. First off, NFPA, I'm going to put this link right into the chat. You guys can click on it, bookmark it. This will take you directly to the landing page for NFPA 1600. And hopefully all of your agencies have a subscription to NFPA and can pull these down and get the PDFs and such, or you have hard copies. But even if you don't, what you're seeing on my screen is the free version. You can view it, you can't edit it, you can't search it, it's very limited. You can't print it, but of course you can steal screenshots from it, and that's so you can help communicate about this document. But I recommend, not that we have all this free time, but being how busy we all are, but this is a particularly solid document, and the annexes give you some tremendous examples of the continuity self-assessment. So both for you as a fire department, but then the ability to share this with customers, businesses in your community that you serve to add value to what you're delivering to your community. So highly recommended. I also want to especially thank our Director of International, Julie Damaris. She was exploring this document and planted the seed to make this part of our presentation today. So big thanks to Julie on that. And it's a pretty impressive and very comprehensive document that I think you'll find worthwhile and take some time to look it over. All right, into the system. All right, we're going to go over, let me move my screens around a little bit here. I'm going to go over a few of these things and then address any questions that we have. All right, in the incidents, very simple. You saw the screenshot of it. When you go to do an incident, page 2, it's as simple as responding to this question. So like I said earlier, we're very impressed with the fact that despite this not being a required field, at least not yet, the vast majority of our customers are documenting this. I think everyone understands the importance here. So this special study is right here. All right, and I'm going to put this link in the chat also in case you haven't seen this already. Here it comes. Okay, and so this walks you through that study. Now keep in mind, here's something I want to point out to you. Is it required? No, but they started the study on January 1st. Now, we didn't, this whole outbreak, we didn't get, the big awareness of it till what, March, maybe February, early March. So you can go in and if you choose to, retroactively update your incidents back to January 1st, 2020, if you wish to. And then of course it gets on the output for those of you who are data geeks like me, it is under the transaction row of 1060, and that's what gets outputted to NFPA when you submit your incident data to them on a it depends on the frequency, but most of our customers export monthly. All right, so take a look at that to get more information there. All right, and so how does that work? Really quickly, if an incident has been reviewed, if you have privileges, now not everybody in your organization would or should have these privileges, you click on lock, you can make incomplete, you can bypass sending any notification, and then you just go to basic 2 and answer the question. Click next. Don't navigate away without clicking save and stay, save and go back, save and go next. If you go to authorize without clicking one of these in-system controls, you won't save it. So by clicking next to go to basic 3, good to go. Now I can authorize it, put in my password, and that incident now is good to go. And you are able to, this hasn't been exported yet, but if it had been exported, it'll ask you if you wish to be able to make this available for re-export. Click yes, and you'll be good to go. And you can just re-export that data to NFPA. They're perfectly fine with that. Okay, fire service casualties is next. So we'll go back to incidents, and I want to show you what they state about that. And let's go here. Yes, guidance here. Okay, coding recommendations for COVID-19 response. Here comes this. That's coming into chat as well. All right, so here's what I want to answer the question earlier. It is up to the department as to whether they wish to use the fire service casualty module to record this information. It does walk you through what you need to fill out, the required fields. The severity should be a report only, including exposures, a G3. And then of course you've got to do any required fields. And our system matches NFPA's validation rules, so the system will let you know through red light, green light, whether or not you've completed it correctly or not. So again, that is up to you as an agency to make that decision. I can tell you that quite a few of our customers, if not the majority, are indeed documenting that. Okay, big deal stuff. How that works? Page 2. We're going to click yes, there were fire service casualties. We're going to click next. Make sure you do that. And then the tab is right in here. We're going to edit, and we're going to just say we're going to enter the required fields today, and so forth and so on. Super easy to fill out. And then remember the severity, reporting only, including exposure. going to take a quick pause, see if we got any questions. Mac, how are we looking on questions?
Tom, we did have one here. It said, should we retrospectively change the status of COVID from suspected to confirms once test results are in? And my answer would be there, this was Brad. I put,
Okay, Brad.
I would make sure to check, your NFPA requirements to make sure that you determine that on a department level. But remember to think about the data that you want to see at your department also. What are you wanting to get back? So not only just, infers what you're sending out, but do you want that information later to be able to pull out, whether it was an actual confirmed case or not. So I'll let you take that one further, Tom, whether to change that.
No, absolutely, Mac. I think that's good advice. And I would say personally, and I'm trying to think, putting back my battalion chief hat, if I were back on the job, if you get, because you don't, unless they tell you they've been tested and you can select that it's confirmed right there on the scene, but yet you get that information back later from the hospital that it was indeed a confirmed case, I would lean towards changing it. So to get the direct correct documentation. Now, I would also recommend in the narrative to state updated information from the hospital or wherever you receive it on such and such a date at such and such a time, change the status from suspected to confirmed. I would not just go in and change it without putting some narrative documentation behind it. Again, it's that medic in me. If you didn't write it down, it didn't happen. So, and the systems, it will log that you've accessed the incident, but it won't tell you what you changed in it per se. So, if it went from suspected to confirmed, and you change it, it'll be in the system accurately, but no one will know that it was changed. Another thing you could do, in lieu of just the narrative documentation, you could make a custom question. All right. Was this incident updated based on new information? Yes or no? And again, that's a rough question. You'll obviously polish that up, but that certainly is another way to take advantage of our custom questions, because then you can run some killer reports to show you, oh, yes, well, this one was from suspected to confirmed, and out of our 1,000 responses, 100 of them, went from suspected to confirmed. I think that's good data to talk about. And then, of course, you could map that too on the map to see that. So I would say that's certainly something to consider. And maybe you'll come up with a better idea than that. Go ahead, Mac.
I was just going to say one thing added to that. Remember, if you're going back for any, just like Tom was showing earlier, if you go back into them, and those of you that can unlock, after they're been reviewed and you unlock it to go change that, remember that you're supposed to resend that to infers. Then we have two other questions. Comment here. Sean says, that's along the same lines, updating your fire loss data days after the fire when the insurance company is finalized, which very true.
Good point. And I would still recommend just to everybody too is don't just change it. Have some documentation in the custom question or narrative also. I think there's going to be value there for you.
Yeah, and I would actually put who, changed it because of this. And remember, in your narratives, you can actually now, you can separate it to who and what. So you can actually put in that narrative like vehicles and stuff, or person who did it, and sort of documents that date and time that's in there. And then the last question here that we've got from Debbie says, if we don't record any COVID information on the exposure in Basic 2, does it automatically default to NA or not? And from my understanding at the present time, it does not, because it is not a required field, so it just doesn't show anything.
Yeah, there's no default there. It will just simply, that transaction line in the NFPA export won't even appear if you don't answer. And big shout out to Debbie in the great state of Colorado at the Golden Fire Department. So thanks for being with us today, Debbie. All right, pressing on. Okay, so now we've got our fire service casualties taken care of. And then of course the reports, I showed you an example of that. In the interest of time, we'll press on, but those two reports, 315 and 1630, will give you information there. Custom questions. Again, there's excellent knowledge base articles on how to build custom questions, but this is the time to take advantage of it. Like I said, I had showed you Anaheim's as an example. Theirs was a particularly good one, and you can, anything that you need to capture, the whole point of custom questions is to capture data that you need as an organization that isn't typically captured in NFRS or NEMSIS, okay? And then there's a whole slew of reports, and I wanted to show you, because sometimes you'll type in the keyword custom, and it's like, where are all those reports? Type in user-define, it's kind of the old term for this, for these reports, and you're gonna get a list there, and even that's not all of them. Sometimes, and I have the whole list. You have to type, right? I apologize, that is really strange. Of course, because I'm on a demo today, it's not showing me exactly what I want to show you guys, but there's more reports than this. There they are, those 5. Weird. Okay, so apparently it's not in the description, but here you can see there is a combination of custom fields to terminology and user-defined fields, but these are the 5 reports that you can extract the data from. And then once you get there, don't forget, if you like the report when you run it, add it to your favorites, and that'll make it easy to find. All you have to do is click here on favorites, and it'll be there. Okay, then in the EPCR, and I won't spend time there, but just know that if your state has approved those NEMSIS, the national NEMSIS fields, that will be part of documenting your EPCR on a per patient basis. And I do want to show you here in our knowledge base article that Kim, our Director of Customer Success, has put together. There are some additional things that NEMSIS 3 has updated. All right, PPE choices under response and crew, that's our new choices there. New destination team, new procedures under procedures, and then new national custom elements. Again, with NEMSIS, everybody, it's not as nice as NFRS where it's one national standard. Each state gets to go in and modify it. And so these national custom elements were developed at the national level, then it's up to the states to decide whether they're going to accept them or not. And so these are some that are available, and this is, I just learned this just recently, so that's not in any of the handouts or in my documentation, but those are things for those of you that are EPCR customers. Okay, and then next, we've got, and it's a handout in the go-to webinar control panel, the inventory module, and I want to show you that. And then we will be able to wrap things up today, answer more questions. And so in the inventory module, you're able to create. Now, what we won't do today because of time is go through step by step how to build all of this. That document that I sent to you in your handouts will walk you through setting this up if you've never played in this module. Okay, and then the output here, all right, a purchase report by vendor will give you on a per vendor basis what you've spent on the various supplies. You can see here under, we've got $200 worth of N95s we've purchased back on April 5th. And so you can explore that, and that will help you with this eligible emergency protective measures. This needs to go into the chat as well for you. A lot of information here, everybody, and I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but just know that 1, this is going to be recorded. 2, I've sent you all the resources that I have available, both links, and then we also have it on our blog that will summarize a lot of what I've gone over today, and I'll send you that here momentarily as well. And that should give you everything that you need to stay up to speed with what's going on both nationally and then within emergency reporting to help you comply with all of these. But if you read this, this explains whether or not you'll be eligible for reimbursement, which you probably all are, for these different aspects of the COVID-19 response. And so you can see disposable goods are in here as well. So we are doing our best as a data management platform to help you not only put the data in, but to get the data out. So one, you know what's going on with keeping your crews and community safe, which is priority number one. And then of course, there's no doubt that your agencies, with whether it's overtime, whether it's supplies, you're spending more. And so with these declarations of emergency, reimbursement is available to you in many cases. All right, so let's wrap this up. I want to go to two things here. I'm going to go to our blog, put this link in for you as well. And the reason I want to put this here to supplement the knowledge base articles that you can access within the system is that we've got what I've covered today. If you look back, we've got down here tools for tracking and analyzing COVID-19 and ER. That was our initial release. Then we've got the special study that we added. We've got more tools that we've added, and then the inventory modules. So this will keep you in the know so that you can optimize and take advantage of everything that we are offering to hopefully make your jobs a little bit easier. Here comes one more link. So just click these, let them stack up in your web browser, and then bookmark them when we wrap up here today. And looking ahead for additional webinars, tomorrow, Andrea and I, she is our Director of Marketing, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be doing a webinar on smart social media for today's fire service. And so it's quite timely again, because of how you're communicating to your communities about what you're doing and maybe some different services that you're offering, virtual station tours, virtual public education. And so we want to show you some opportunities there, how to really do a good social media program, and creating policies and procedures within your organization, and then some examples from around the country. So if you have time, same time, tomorrow, April 9th, at 11 a.m. Eastern time, we're going to be doing another one. So with that, I think we've covered everything. I am going to go look and see if we've got any more questions that need to be answered. And we've got the different links. Debbie's already got some responses from Mac. All right, everybody, any questions for me or my team today? And before we close, I want to thank you all for taking time to spend an hour, roughly an hour with me and my team. And also a shout out to Mac, our lead trainer, for participating, to Andrea, our Director of Marketing, to David, our CEO, and to Julie, our Director of International Sales, for being here today and for planting the seed to make sure we included NFPA 1600 in our discussion. All right, I'm going to stick around. Let's look at some questions. Sean, you're very welcome. I hope it was helpful to you today. I want to apologize for everybody about the audio difficulties. I'm guessing it was a GoToMeeting. Don't want to shift the blame, but I know my internet connection here was good, and yours was probably too, so we'll look into that. Lieutenant Moore from the great department of Orange County, Florida. Lieutenant Moore, when is the question going to be mandatory? I can tell you soon. I don't have an exact time, but it is soon because I know our team is working on it. It may be going out in our either what we call a hot fix, and I know you and I have talked about hot fixes this week. Worst case will be the next deploy. Crystal, all you need to do on that webinar is this. I'm going to put the post, the web page into the chat, and okay, there we go. Just click on that last link I sent you, Crystal, and you can click on this link here to register, and you'll be good to go for tomorrow. Okay, more questions. Oh, I love it. And to everybody, thanks for the kind words. Anthony, James, Lou, Debbie, and Crystal, you're very welcome. From Charles, Tom, we are new to ERS or ER. Is there a training video that I can show our officers to help get them going? Absolutely. Charles, do me a favor. We'll take it offline. Send me an email, Tom, T-O-M, @emergencyreporting.com, and I will share you some links that Mac and his team have put together to help get you going. So just Tom, T-O-M, @emergencyreporting.com.